Hello, everybody. Good evening once again. Thank you for joining in this evening. A very warm welcome to you all for today's webinar, Engineering Your Future at Marian University. My name is Chandra Majumdar. I work at GenNext Education as a manager, college counseling, and student success. Today, I'm also joined by two of my colleagues at GenNext Education, Addie and Ben. Thank you, Addie and Ben, in advance. GenNext Education is an international organization based in India and North America. We at GenNext Education strongly believe that global education is the key to gain global competencies necessary to succeed in today's world. We provide free, credible, and timely counseling services to our students and families and help them find not only their right fit university, but also guide them throughout the application admission process, basically from application to pre-departure. We also support the high schools with a range of services to meet their counseling and global education needs. Engineering Your Future at Marian is the first webinar of the webinar series initiated by GenNext Education. Through this series, we want to provide you with opportunities to explore and hopefully better understand the popular courses of study by connecting you with the university insiders. They will cover a wide range of topics, including admission, scholarship, and the different aspects of the program itself, like research, internship, as well as potential career avenues. Today, we are featuring Marian University, a GenNext partner university. Marian is a private university located in Indianapolis, Indiana. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our insiders from Marian, Kelly Sumner. Many of you must have met her during her recent India calling trips. She's the Assistant Director of International Recruitment and Admissions at Marian. Also, here with us is Dr. Thomas Enneking. He's the Professor of Engineering and a Senior Advisor to the President. Now, before I turn it over to them, I want to just give a quick couple of things about the housekeeping stuff. Please keep your microphone muted at all time during the presentation. Also, you will notice there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. You can type in your questions at the Q&A box, preferably at the end of the presentation when we open the floor for questions. But of course, you can also type them any point of time you have any questions. However, we can only get back to them at the end of the session. So without any further delay, I would like to turn it over to Kelly and Dr. Enneking. Welcome, Kelly and Dr. Enneking. Over to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Chandra. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be here talking to you this evening. In Indiana, it's actually morning, Saturday morning, so thank you so much for joining us. Like Chandra said, we're here from Marian University specifically to talk about engineering today. I'm going to go ahead and start giving you just a quick overview about Marian University. And then Dr. Enneking is going to spend a good chunk of time giving you some specific information about our dual degree engineering program. And then I'll talk a little bit about admission requirements. And then, as Chandra mentioned, we'll have some question and answer time at the end. So just really quickly, Chandra mentioned that Marian University is in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're a pretty old university. We actually were founded in 1851. So a long time ago. And then you can see a timeline here of some of our history. We started off just as a college. We moved from a small town in Indiana to Indianapolis in 1937. And then since then, we've just continued to grow. We went from being a college to a comprehensive university. We actually opened a medical school, our College of Osteopathic Medicine, in 2013. And our enrollment continues to grow. We increased our enrollment in 2018 by about 25% over the year before. So Marian has been around in some capacity in Indiana for quite some time. Just a little bit of statistics about our university. We have right around 3,600 students total. So we're not a large university, we're a small private university. One of the advantages to having a small university is we have a great student to faculty ratio of about 13:1. Our average class size is about 15 students. So you're gonna get a lot of personalized attention at Marian. We have some good rankings from the US News and World Report in 2019 for being one of the best regional universities in terms of value and in terms of innovation, which we are very proud of at Marian. We have around 900 students that live on campus, and we also have students that live in the area just surrounding campus. One of the really neat things about Marian is that even though we're a small university, we're located in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is a pretty good sized city. You can see a picture of our beautiful skyline here on your screen. There are a lot of advantages to being located in a city while you're going to university. Some of them have to do with just places to go to do fun things with your friends when you're not studying. But there are a lot of really good opportunities being in Indianapolis for things like research, things like internships, and for getting jobs potentially after you graduate. So you can see on the screen here some of the major companies and businesses that we have around in the Indianapolis area. Some of them are more local names. Some of them are names you're probably going to recognize, like Rolls-Royce, Infosys, Salesforce, Roche Diagnostics, Cummins Engineering. We have a lot of different industries in Indianapolis and great opportunities and connections to Marian University that we can offer to our students. And Dr. Enneking is going to talk more about some of the specifics for engineering students here in a little bit. So just a quick summary of academics at Marian. We have a few different colleges, sort of subsets of areas of study within Marian. In our College of Arts and Sciences, you can see we have a variety of programs from biology, chemistry, mathematics, all the way to performing arts, studio art and design. We have programs in theology and philosophy, programs in psychology, and I know a lot of you are here to hear about engineering, so we definitely have the engineering program within the College of Arts and Sciences, and we also have a computer science program. And knowing about these other programs is going to be kind of important when you hear about our dual degree engineering program, because you won't be studying just engineering, you'll be studying something else as well. So we also have programs at Marian in our Byram School of Business. We have education programs for people who are interested in teaching. We have a School of Nursing, and we also have excellent programs in exercise and sports science. But I know the people who are joining us today are here to learn more about our engineering program. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Dr. Enneking to talk a little bit about himself, and then also share with you about our unique and exciting dual degree engineering program.
Thank you, Kelly. It's good to be here again on a morning in Indiana. It's kind of a rainy morning here. Hopefully it's a nicer day where all of you are. I'm certainly happy to be here. I want to thank our partners from GenNext as well, and Chandra and the others give us an opportunity to talk to you about some of the programs that we have here. Just a little bit about me. I'm an engineer by training, bachelor's degree in civil engineering, master's in civil engineering from Virginia Tech, PhD in civil engineering from Notre Dame. I've been at Marian for about 15 years and was the provost there, the chief academic officer, working closely with the president in starting this dual degree engineering program. So I wanted to just tell you a little bit about the program, and then I'm looking forward to answering questions that you might have at the end. Go ahead, Kelly. Basically, the dual degree engineering program is set up as a 5-year program. That's because the reason it's a 5-year program is because it's actually 2 separate bachelor's degrees. I'm sure you've all heard of Purdue University. The bachelor's degree that you get in engineering comes from Purdue. It's a in pretty much, we'll talk about the other majors that it can come in, but you'll see those as pretty much any of the majors that they offer at IUPUI here in Indianapolis. You'll also get a bachelor's degree in a program at Marian, and we'll talk about some of those programs as well, and the different degrees that you can get from Marian. It's basically a dual degree program, so it's not you may have heard about 3-2 programs or 2-3 programs. It's not that. It's not a 3-2 program. You don't go 3 years at one school and then go 2 years in another. Purdue's branch in Indianapolis is 10 minutes away from us, and so you're actually taking classes at both institutions at the same time. You may be even in the same semester. You're taking a class at Marian, and then you're taking another class at IUPUI. You're basically going in cohort groups, so you'll have a group of students that you'll start with as freshmen and work your way through the program, and most of you will be taking very many of the same courses. Engineering courses are very sequential, and so that sequentialness allows us to do things in much of a cohort kind of an approach. You'll be, though, a student at Marian, as it says, the best of both worlds. You'll be a student at Marian for all 5 years. So you'll live in our residence halls. We basically take care of everything there is that you need to know about going to Purdue. We actually walk with the group of students. We drive with the group of students to IUPUI in order to get them registered and get them set up. We take care of all the finances that are happening at IUPUI, at the Purdue branch at Indianapolis. And so it's all very much a part of we're taking care of you. That's part of the advantage of being at a small school. The billing is transparent. Many of the things are transparent to the students. Go ahead. Based on the way we are right now, we started very small. We started in 2012 with our first graduates in 2017. We've had about 20 graduates now, so it's a small program. We have about 50 students in the program. We're continuing to grow. We continue to get 15 to 20 freshmen. About half of our students are from out of state. We have about the typical representation of students, female students in engineering, it's about 30%. Many of our students here are athletes. Football, basketball, lacrosse, cycling is a very big program for us. Actually, most of our international contingent of students that we have, and we've had about 4 or 5 international students in this engineering program, have been cyclists. And so that is a big program. It's a bigger draw for us in the international market. We'll talk a little bit more about the graduates in a minute. The majors that you can get from Purdue are any of the majors that they offer here at the Indianapolis branch of Purdue University. So our students right now have predominantly been in mechanical engineering, although we have, I have a student in class, a couple students in class are in motorsports. Biomedical is another big one, electrical, energy. Basically, any of the degrees that are offered by the Indianapolis branch can be taken with this part of this program. We're also looking at engineering technology degrees. You know, there's a difference between engineering degrees and engineering technology degrees. The engineering technology degrees are more hands-on, more application-oriented. The engineering degrees are perhaps a little bit more theoretical, more science calculus-based. But we're looking at the technology degrees to open up the breadth of degrees that we can offer on the Purdue side. So although that's not an option at this point in time, we're looking very closely at getting that started as early as next year, perhaps the year after. As far as the majors that you can take at Marian, there's really no limit. There's not. We're trying to get everything that we can in our Marian University majors, but as you'd expect, engineers are technical in nature, so they're mathematical, they're scientific. So most of the students will take a math major, a chemistry major, a biology major. That's an easy major to fold into an engineering major, because remember, we're trying to get 2 degrees here. We're trying to get an engineering degree and a math and a Marian degree, which in this case would be math or science. So we're trying to overlap those as much as we can, so that there's the courses count in both of the areas. But we can couple almost any major with a Purdue major. We've had students who have majored in philosophy. We've had students who majored in psychology. Another major we're looking at that we think would be a good tie to engineering is business as an additional option. So we're trying hard to find a way to make that work. Part of the problem that we have with that is that our business degrees are very hands-on focused, very internship focused. And so it's harder to make that be a match. But we're confident that we can make that work for students. We actually have a student that's going to come in this fall that's interested in exploring business as an option on the Marian side. So we think that we'll be able to do that soon. We have an advantage really in doing this as we work through the program. Another person that you'll be not talking with today because he wasn't able to make it is Dr. Jeff Carvel. Dr. Jeff Carvel is really a graduate of this type of program, not from our institution, but a graduate of this type of program that is with IUPUI. And he got his PhD in physics, so he's a physics teacher for us now. But he's also the advisor, and he'll be your advisor for this program at Marian University when you come. That's on the engineering side. On the Marian side, when you major in mathematics or chemistry or biology, you'll have an advisor from that discipline as well. So again, we try and take care of our students here. We're small, and so you have that kind of advising. It's not like you have to have weeks ahead of time to make an appointment with your advisor. You can just walk in the door in most cases, and the advisor is there. Our faculty and staff really are here to help students be successful. That's how we rank ourselves, is whether we're successful, whether our students are successful. Let's talk a little bit about the outcomes. I know that's when you're making an investment in a college education, you're thinking about what's it going to do for me. As Kelly mentioned, there are a number of companies, national, international companies that are located in Indianapolis, and so our students are able to acquire internships as well as permanent employment. Just a few of them that I've mentioned here are ones that just came to mind quickly as we recall our graduates and where they have been. Again, remember, we haven't had a lot of graduates today because our program is still in its infancy. But we've had a couple graduates that are at Allison Transmission, and they've interned at Allison Transmission. So those internships are very important in getting your actual employment. It's a good way to make a connection, to build a network. We have had internships in students employed at Rolls-Royce. BSA Life Structures is a health sciences engineering architectural firm. We've had students that have internshiped at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. We've had students who have done graduate study, both at Purdue here in IUPUI, at the Indianapolis branch. They've done graduate study at West Lafayette. We've had a student that's been in Stanford and in other locations as well. So I think we had internships at Eskenazi Health and Eli Lilly as well. You've probably heard of Eli Lilly. So those are places where our students have interned and employed. Research projects, I don't have research. I don't think we have research up here anywhere, but research projects, our faculty do undergraduate research with students. That's because we're an undergraduate institution. And so those research projects could involve faculty that you have here at Marian, which would be in the sciences probably, or mathematics, but it could be in the other fields. And then we also do undergraduate research on the engineering side. I know that some of our engineering students have worked with our nursing faculty on looking at 3D printing and developing devices to help with insertion of IVs and blood tests. And so that's just one, like a guide. They've printed out a guide for how a nurse could then use that. So the research opportunities are more on the undergraduate side, because that's where we are and that's what we do. Just a quick slide about accreditation. I know that sometimes you don't know as much about us, and so a seal of approval might come from these accrediting bodies. Marian University is regionally accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. That's a regional, there's one of the 7 regional accrediting bodies across the country, across the United States, that are basically, again, a sign, an indicator that you're an institution in good standing, that you take care of your students and all the stakeholders. We are not the institution that's ABET accredited. If you're thinking about engineering, that's something to think about, to look at, is ABET accreditation in the Engineering Accreditation Commission. But Purdue has been accredited in ABET for many, many years. And our engineering programs are then accredited by ABET through the fact that Purdue is offering that degree. So again, I want you to understand that you're getting 2 degrees from 2 separate institutions. You're getting your engineering degree specifically from Purdue. You're getting your liberal arts degree specifically from Marian University. So in some ways, you're actually graduating with the best of both worlds, as we said in an earlier slide. you've got those technical skills, those solid technical skills from a world-renowned engineering school, which is Purdue. And you've got the transportable skills, that communication skills, logical problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, communication, ethical behavior. All of those are coming about during your time at Marian in the liberal arts. So that's exactly what employers, if you read what employers are looking for, they're looking for solid technical skill. You'll have them, but they're also looking for those transportable skills, those sometimes called soft skills that you can take with you from job to job as you grow through your employment track. So again, the importance is that there's 2 degrees. We tell our students when you graduate, you have to be sure that you can tell your employers that you're having both of these degrees, because one of them gives you the technical skills, the other gives you the transportable skills. I will say that it's, as you know, you're all smart students, I'm sure. Engineering is a challenging curriculum. You'll be challenged. We'll ask you to do things that are at maybe a different level than things you've done before. But we have support services. We have tutoring services. We have places where you can get support in writing, in math skills. So we have a very solid department that tries hard to make sure that you have all the support you need. And that's in addition to the faculty. Certainly every faculty member in every class. While I was the provost and even now today, when you teach classes, it's one of the highlights of our faculty day, is you get to go to class and you're happy and you're excited about seeing students come alive and light up and be ready to go in your particular discipline. If you go into the classroom excited about your topic, your students come out excited about the topic. And we want to be able to support all those students as they do that. I maybe should say just a little thing about the way the curriculum is structured. We operate on the US system, and so it's operating in 17 to 18 credit hours per semester. And so you'll be taking, you'll go 10 semesters, so we go the fall and the spring semesters, and off in the summer, and we usually look for a student at that time, perhaps to get an internship, perhaps to do a study abroad experience, perhaps to do something that adds, complements their educational process. But during each of those 10 semesters in that 5-year window of time, you'll be taking somewhere between 16 to 18 credits. Remember, it's 2 degrees, and so a typical engineering degree would be about 132 credits here in the United States. You'll be taking about 36 more credits than that, so it's about 168 credits. So it's between 16 and 18 that you take each semester. It depends on what your curriculum looks like. Some of our students try and get a minor as well while they're at Marian, or they get a concentration. All of those things are possible. It just is a matter of how much time you want to invest and how much time you have to invest in your program of study when you're here. A couple other things on the slide there. You know, as Kelly mentioned, it's a small school, but it's in a relatively major metropolitan area. It's not the size of Chicago. You may not be familiar with Indianapolis, but you're probably familiar with the Indianapolis 500. So that is something that we are the racing capital of the world. We say we are anyway. So some places might think that that's not true, but we think it's true. Certainly in the month of May, when most months of May, it won't be this month of May, but most month of May, our campus is close enough to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that we can hear the cars as they practice and as they drive around. And so there is a bit of excitement that we usually have at our campus in the month of May that we're disappointed that we won't have it in this month of May. Exams. So there may have been a question about what are our exams like. You know, it's a little bit different than in some systems of education where you just do a lot of study and then you take an exam at the end of term, or you take an exam in order to get a mark that says you can go on to the next program, the next area of study. Our classes they meet weekly. They'll have regular meeting times. If you're taking 16 hours of class or 17 hours of class, that means you're meeting 17 hours a week, roughly 17 hours a week as you're going through your program of study. So it doesn't mean that's all we expect you to do. I mean, there's homework that you'll do. There's work outside of class. But then the tests really vary a little bit by instructor and by the class. Most of your engineering classes like mine, classes that other engineering faculty teach, are very problem-based. So they're going to be problems where you're actually going to be working problems, turning in tests, turning in homework. Um, Different faculty do it differently. I tend to give 2 tests a semester plus a final. That's the way I operate. But some may be very different. Some may be a midterm and a final. Some of the freshman classes have more tests, more ways that you get graded, outcomes assessed. Some have fewer as you get up into your upper division classes. Most disciplines will have a senior capstone course. So there'll be some kind of a senior course where you try and put it all together, everything you've had together into one match. So there's not one size fits all that I can tell you, well, this is how the exams are. If you're taking a speech class, an oral communication class, that final exam is going to be making a speech, and you're going to do speeches during the whole course of that semester. If you're in a writing composition class, there are going to be papers that you'll write. If you're in a lab, you probably won't have a final, but your lab experience will basically be your final exam. So all of those things can vary as you go through your program of study. So again, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have there as we go forward. But that's basically the curriculum that we're operating in. I think that's going to be it for me, Kelly. I'm going to go back to you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions as we go forward. One more quick thing before I turn it over to Kelly. Core requirements. Kelly mentioned something about the academics. Basically, what you're getting is 2 majors. You're getting an engineering major and a Marian major, but you're also taking this solid gen ed core. So when I say a gen ed core, it's a general education core. So you'll be taking courses in mathematics, in the sciences. Certainly the engineers will take calculus and the calculus sequence. You'll take chemistry or biology. But all of our students will take a math of some sort of quantitative skill course. They'll also take a scientific course, some with labs, some without. Your courses in the engineering program will have labs with you. You'll also have communications courses. You'll have English courses. You'll have social science courses. You'll have humanities courses. As Kelly showed you, we have a breadth of disciplines in our liberal arts institution. If you want to take a course in music, you can take a course in music. If you want to take a course in theology or philosophy, you can do that. Now remember, we want to try and fit them together so they work within your program of study. So that's why we work closely with our advisors to make sure that you can do that. So, but the wealth of opportunities are available to you in the whole spectrum of liberal arts. Foreign language, we require a foreign language. So all of those things will be available as you come through our liberal arts. So, and it's part of the core, but it also can be an elective course. So it's your course. Kelly, back to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Enneking. I'm going to try to go pretty quickly through our admission requirements and the admission process. And definitely, if anybody has any questions at the end, please make note of those because we can come back and go over some more details as needed. In general, our admission requirements for Marian University, we're looking for students that have around a US B average to be admitted. So we want to have good students coming to Marian, which I'm sure all of you are good students. I've met so many students in India who are very academically prepared to come to the US. One interesting aspect you may already know about applying to school to come to the university in the US is you don't have to wait until after your 12th standard exams. We actually start admitting students during their 12th grade or 12th standard year. So all you actually have to have are your 9th, 10th, and 11th standard marks. So it's a lot different than in India where you have to wait until you complete and get your results from your 12th standard exams to apply to a university. At Marian, we do not require the SAT for admission. However, for the engineering program, we do specifically have to evaluate your math skills to make sure that you're ready, like Dr. Enneking said, to start into Calculus 1. So if you've taken the SAT, the SAT exam, we can look at that to see if your math score is about 570 or higher. If you haven't taken the SAT exam, that's okay. What will happen is actually Dr. Carvel will take a look at your mark sheets, take a look at the courses that you've taken, and determine based on that curriculum in those courses and your marks that you're going to be successful in the math courses as part of the engineering program. I have a lot of students when I'm in India ask about if they have to be in the science stream in order to apply for our engineering program. And the answer really is no. It doesn't matter to us really whether you're in the science stream or maybe you're in commerce, but you really want to be an engineer, or even in humanities. But I always tell those students, you might want to consider taking the SAT or the SAT exam in that case, because you may not have taken as many math and science courses, and that'll really show that you are academically prepared to come into an engineering program like our dual degree program. The application process is pretty simple. All you have to do is go online to our website and apply. The application doesn't ask for anything complicated. It's basically your personal contact information, the program you're interested in, what term you want to start. We're not asking you to write an essay or submit letters of recommendation on the application. It's pretty straightforward, and it's free. There's no application fee. And then after you apply, you'll have to submit your transcripts or your mark sheets. We want to have everything up to your most recent marks. So if you're currently in the 11th standard, then you're going to submit 9th, 10th, and 11th standard mark sheets. If you are currently in the 12th standard, finishing up the 12th standard, then we're going to ask you for everything that you have so far. We do require English proficiency, but we waive that requirement if English is the language of instruction in your high school. So for most of the students I talk to in India, that is the case. So you don't need to submit TOEFL or IELTS scores. If you do happen to go to a school, the language of instruction is something different, then you may need to submit your TOEFL or IELTS scores as well. And like I said before, the SAT, the SAT or ACT are optional, but we can use those to determine that your math level is appropriate for the engineering program. When you send the documents to Marian, you're actually just going to send them as PDF attachments to an email. Once you decide you're going to come to Marian, you're admitted, when you know you're going to attend, then that's when you'll send your final mark sheets directly from your school. If you have SAT scores, we do need those to be sent directly from the College Board, which is pretty easy to do if you log into your College Board account and just request that they send them to Marian. Students also always want to know about cost and scholarships. So we require students to provide proof of finances for the I-20 issuance, and that's that document that you need to get your student visa. That happens as soon as you find out you're admitted, then we start helping you walk through this process. You can see the cost on the screen for this upcoming year. The cost of attendance for 1 year is about $51,500, the breakdown of tuition, housing, and then there's some estimated expenses for personal expenses, books is an estimate, and then required health insurance. But the good news is we have great scholarships for international students as well. We offer academic scholarships at all year round. Anytime you apply, you're going to be considered automatically for our academic scholarships. We do have a competitive scholarship, and that's our biggest academic scholarship, and that one has a deadline of November 1st. So if you're interested in that one, maybe you're an 11th standard student now, or you just finished 11th standard, and you're thinking about applying to come in August 2021. In that case, you're going to want to apply in August, September, October, so that you can be possibly considered for our St. Mary competitive scholarship that has that November 1st deadline. We do also have athletic scholarships, talent scholarships, and faith-based scholarships available that can be sometimes combined with our academic scholarships. Some of those have additional requirements and varying deadlines, but I always encourage students to explore what's available, because you never know, there might be something that would apply to you that you would be interested in. And just really quickly, you can kind of see the amounts here. So our most competitive scholarship, the one with the November 1st deadline, is from half to full tuition. And if you are wanting to come in August 2020, then unfortunately you've missed that deadline, but you're still eligible to be considered for our St. Francis and St. Clair scholarships from $7,000 all the way up to $15,000 per year. And then, like I said, we've got some other talent-based and faith-based scholarships with varying amounts as well. Just a quick note, we do also offer some financial need-based aid for international students. So if you complete the CSS profile, which I can give you more information about, it's the form that you will fill out with your family to show what your financial resources are. And our financial aid office can use that information to potentially give you some additional funding to help you pay for your studies at Marian University. All right, and then I think just really quickly, next steps. I always encourage students to check out our website. So www.marian.edu. It's pretty easy to find. The page for international information is on the screen there, but also there's a lot of great information on the website for all of our academic programs. You can find specific information about engineering, but all of the other programs as well. We have a pretty nice virtual campus tour, so you can go on and you can kind of take a look around the different buildings on our campus and see what that looks like, since you can't come in person to visit typically. Definitely follow up if you have any questions. My contact information is here. I've got another slide or two that'll give you Dr. Enneking's contact information and Dr. Carvel. Any questions that you have, we are more than happy to help. That's what we're here for. My entire job is to help you through this process and make it as easy as possible for you to get the information that you need to make a great choice about where you're going to study for the university, and we hope for some of you that will be Marian. I also invite you to find us on social media. We're trying to keep our social media accounts interesting during this time when everybody's online and staying at home. So please find us on social media and then apply. I always tell students there's really no risk, there's no application fee. If you think it's a possibility, you can apply, you can be admitted, you can be awarded scholarships. If for some reason you decide you don't want to come to Marian, you've not lost anything. It's definitely worth exploring as an opportunity for any student, I think, who thinks this looks like it would be a good fit for them. So again, thank you so much for attending, and my contact information is here on the screen as well. My WhatsApp number, so I know a lot of students in India like WhatsApp. Feel free to send questions via WhatsApp or email. Probably the two easiest ways to get a hold of me. And then Dr. Enneking's email address is on the screen, as well as Dr. Carvel, and he's the director of the program, who wasn't able to join us today. So for jumping in, but Dr. Carvel is always also willing to answer any questions students might have about Marian, about the engineering program, about physics, or probably anything that you could come up with. He'd be happy to chat with you about that. And I think Chandra is maybe going to jump back in, unless, I don't know, Dr. Enneking, if you wanted to say anything else here in conclusion before question and answers, and then otherwise I think we're going to get to the question and answer session.
You know, I really don't have much else to say, Kelly, other than thanks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for thinking about Marian, and I'm looking forward to answering some questions. I guess just one thing that I didn't mention that I will is that as a part of a dual degree program, you're really going to be able to take advantage of resources not only from Marian, but also from the Indianapolis branch of Purdue and the main campus at West Lafayette. The main campus at West Lafayette's only an hour or so drive away from here. And so you're able to take advantage of all of those resources to set up internships, to set up other graduate school opportunities, to set up employment opportunities. So you have a wealth of resources that'll be available not just here at Marian, but also at both the branch campus for Purdue here at Indianapolis and then also the West Lafayette campus. So looking forward to answering questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dr. Enneking. We already have a lot of questions coming up, and the presentation was indeed very informative and insightful. So I would like to get into the questions directly. The first question we got here is, do you offer robotics at undergraduate, possibly integrated into another course like computer science, if not separately? Do you want me to repeat the question?
I'll go ahead and take a shot at it. I think Kelly was looking like maybe Dr. Enneking will take a shot at this question. Certainly in a lot of the disciplines, there's not a specific robotics degree that's at Purdue, but in Indianapolis branch, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be involved in robotics. It's kind of like the mechanicals would generally be the area that would be taking advantage of the robotics curriculum. Computer science, our computer science major is, again, basically just getting started out of our math area. But there are some computer engineering areas that are present in IUPUI. They're doing some great things in large data sets. I was down there, it's probably been a year ago now, where one of our students is getting her, one of our international students is getting her master's degree right here in Indianapolis at the Purdue branch. And so I think that some of those things would be possible. I can't tell you that they were specifically a robotics degree, but certainly your mechanical engineering degrees will have robotics as a part of it.
Thank you, Dr. Enneking. I hope that answers your question, Anuj. Well, we have the next question. It's for Kelly. Hi, Miss Kelly. Thank you for your presentation. It was truly helpful. Could you please clarify if students' enrollment in IB certificate program can apply for engineering programs? If yes, what credential is the university looking for?
So I think the question is about somebody who's in an IB curriculum, but maybe not completing the entire IB diploma. Is that right, Chandra?
Yes, yes, IB certificate and not diploma.
Yeah, so I think as long as you have some kind of credential that says that you've graduated from your high school, even if you haven't gotten the IB diploma, if you have an alternative high school diploma, high school graduation document from your high school, then we would still consider you eligible for admission at Marian University. In terms of grades and grading scale, I don't have that off the top of my head. I have to apologize for that. But I might be able to look it up and let you know. In terms of, it would still be, we would be looking for an average of around a US grade of B, or maybe a little bit lower would be okay for admission. I just off the top of my head don't remember how that translates to the IB grading scale, but I can look it up.
Yes, but you can always reach out to Kelly if you have any further questions on this. Thank you, Kelly. My next question is, do you have astronomy courses? Do you have courses in astronomy in particular?
I'm not sure I understand the question still. When we talk about,
do you have
are we talking about
the programs in astronomy specifically, or you have to go with the physics, or, you know, do you have any specific courses on astronomy? I think that's what they are asking. Program.
Astronomy, talking about the study of the stars and those sorts of things. That's what we were talking about, astronomy. There are courses, I'm sure you could pick up courses. There is not a particular major that's part of the dual degree engineering program that's in astronomy. I'm not sure, again, we'd have to contact the Purdue branch in particular, because I don't think their astronomy is out of their engineering school. I believe their astronomy is going to be out of their sciences. And I'm not sure what that entails. We work very closely with the dean of the College of Engineering, at Dean Rosmano, at the Indianapolis branch of Purdue. So that's really where our degrees are coming from. We have not coupled with their, at this level in this program, in their sciences. So that's that would be a little bit different mix. So there's not a formal program for that. I would say you could take courses in astronomy, but probably not a particular major as a part of this program.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Enneking. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. So that you cannot have a major, but there are certificate courses, or you can take other subjects like maybe statistics or physics in order to pursue it for your graduate studies, maybe. Am I correct, Dr. Enneking?
Yes, that would be correct. Certainly, if you're thinking about graduate studies down the road, I mean, engineering is, again, a great major to go to graduate school. I mean, I went right to my master's degree after my bachelor's degree because I was interested in focusing on a particular discipline, a particular area. Even though it was civil engineering, it was still a particular area in civil engineering. So I was very interested in structures. So I worked in structures. Some students, Dr. Carvel is a prime example. He got his engineering degree, bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, went on and got his master's and his PhD in physics. So he decided it really wasn't an engineering field that he wanted to get his master's and bachelor's. It can go the other way around. I mean, sometimes you'll see students that'll major in a science and then get a master's or a PhD in engineering. I have friends who have gone from, and we have students who have gone from engineering degrees to law degrees to medicine degrees. So it's really a great stepping stone if you're interested in doing that and continuing your education in further disciplines.
Thank you. I think we can take the next question. Can 2 scholarships be stacked if received?
Can scholarships be stacked? Is that the question?
Scholarships stackable, yes.
Yeah, some of them can be. So there's a little bit of trickiness when it comes to athletic scholarships. Those have some kind of special rules that we have to follow in the athletic scholarship, and really the entire financial package ultimately comes down to the coach and the coach's budget and what the coach has available and wants to give to that particular student for a scholarship. But for the most part, yes, students can get an academic scholarship based on their marks, based on just on their admission, but then they could also potentially get a scholarship for participating in our music program because they like to sing, and so they get a vocal music scholarship that can be stacked with their academic scholarship, for example. And then also the financial need-based aid is in addition to any academic or talent scholarships that students are offered. So yeah, for the most part, yes. If for some reason there was something that wasn't stackable, we would make sure the students were aware of that right off the bat. We're pretty transparent about that.
Thank you, Kelly. The next question. Do you offer credits for standard levels or higher level subjects for students enrolled in IB-DP diploma programs?
We do, yeah. You can actually, there's a chart on our website. If you can't find it and you're interested, you can email me and I can send it to you. That specifically says which higher levels we offer advanced standing credit for. So students who are in those higher level courses could potentially get some transfer credit toward their degree for those courses and be able to maybe start in a higher level course at Marian because they've taken those what we consider to be advanced college level courses as part of their high school curriculum. Some of the chart will actually show you like what whether it'll count as a course in your major or whether it will maybe count as a general education course as well, so you can kind of get an idea of what it will count for.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Are IB students exempted from English proficiency tests? I think you kind of answered it, but I'll leave it to you, Kelly, if you can just clarify it. I think she said that if your medium of instruction is English, then usually the students are exempted from taking any English proficiency test. I would like to, Kelly, can you clarify the same?
Yep, that's exactly right, Chandra. All of the schools I've visited when I've traveled with Gen Next for India calling trips are schools where English is the medium of instruction. So if that's the case, whether it's a CBSE school or an IB school, as long as English is the medium of instruction, then that TOEFL requirement is waived.
Okay, thank you. What are the advantages of dual degree in engineering? I think that goes for Dr. Enneking.
Yes, I think it probably does. You know, I think one of the things we always hear from employers is that, you know, you're as an engineering graduate. I won't say that I've heard it at Marian because we don't have just a straight up engineering degree. But where I was before, I was in a prior institution for 22 years, which was very much involved in just engineering or predominantly engineering. And again, my background, my bachelor's degree is from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, which is over in Terre Haute, which is just almost an exclusively an engineering school. One of the things that you always hear from employers is that engineers who graduate are great technically. They've got great technical skills. But really what we want is an engineer that also has, as they progress through their career, maybe when I first start as an engineer, I'm doing almost all technical stuff and I'm working in a technical area. But as I grow in my career path, to have some additional, what we call, again, transportable skills, having a way to have some experience in dealing in communication, dealing in psychology, dealing in the humanities, dealing in philosophy, sometimes the ethics part of it. You know, employers say we really want people who know how to play on a team, who know how to get along with people, who can provide some leadership skills. So that's another thing that we do here at Marian in our liberal arts area is look at the leadership side. Almost all of our students are involved in some form of leadership activities. So being in a university is more than just taking your technical courses. It's also being involved outside of the classroom. Many of our athletes, our president repeatedly will talk about the athletic programs as being leadership laboratories where you're a part of a team. So again, I would think the advantage of this dual degree program, one of the biggest advantages is the dual degree program is you get 2 degrees. You get a technical degree, solid, firm, solid technical degree. Certainly we always want our engineers to be very technically qualified and capable. But then you also get that other degree where it's a transportable skill set, where now when you stop, when technology passes us all by, tries to pass us by, we have to work very hard. Some engineers will stay in that technical field, but many will move into management opportunities. Many will move into line positions where people report to them. How do you get along with people? How do you deal with the psychology of a person? How do you lead people? And sometimes you lead by being a good follower. So all of those things become very important. And that's one of the advantages, I think, of the dual degree program that we have.
Thank you, Dr. Enneking. I think there's another question that goes for Dr. Enneking is how does dual degree work for an undeclared major?
Good question. You will declare, I mean, ultimately before you graduate, you'll have a declared major. Now, many of our students, as in every discipline, not everybody starts in the discipline that they think they're going to finish in. I mean, some of us started in engineering and stayed there forever. Some started in engineering, like me. Some decided that they didn't want to be engineers after a while, and so they changed areas, and that's okay. We have had engineering majors. We don't graduate everybody in engineering that starts. We've had people who have started in our dual degree program who said, you know, I really just get into this chemistry. I just don't want to give up chemistry. I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be a chemist. I really want to go on and get my PhD in chemistry. So we've had some students that have done that. We've had some students who have dropped out of that. I really don't want to be in engineering at all. I think I'm going to get a business major instead. I kind of like this accounting stuff. I'm going to get into the finance side. So when you start in a program of study, and again, you're going to start as an engineer, you're going to start taking freshman courses that are, I don't want to say they're the higher level courses, but you're going to take the calculuses, the chemistries, the physics that are easily transportable to any other major. And I also, in all transparency, there are some students. We lose about 10% of our students to go to some other school altogether. They might have come to be a football player and then they're not playing football. And so now they've transferred to some other institution. They want to go to a Big Ten school and watch football instead. So it's, you know, students come and go, but by working together, we find a way to help a student be successful. So if you're undecided starting, that's okay. It's okay to be undecided. You know, you're going to pick up gen ed courses early, but we're going to put you into those engineering courses as freshmen and sophomores because it is very sequential. You know, we talked about calculus. Calculus is important because that's the stepping stone. You don't have to love calculus. I mean, if there's some people out there who say, man, I'm making it through calculus, but I don't love it, that's okay. It's all right. But calculus is the stepping stone that we use to take you into calculus-based physics, that takes you into engineering science, that takes you into the second engineering science. So over a 2-year sequence, you're taking those 4 courses and they have to be locked in. So if you're coming in, you know, Kelly mentioned something about AP and IB, you know, if you're bringing in college level credits, that's great. If you can bring in some college level credits and take that first course away, we can plug you into Calc 2 right away and then let you move through that program of study a little bit faster, which opens up some electives. Then maybe you can pick up something later. So again, I guess I would say you're going to have to make a decision soon when you step on the campus, because we want to lock you into a program. We want to make that program of study available to be completed in 5 years. If you're willing to go longer than 5 years, hey, we've got all kinds of things that people love to do. We have some students who take more than 5 years because they want to double major, they want to get another minor, they study abroad 3 semesters. I mean, we have a wealth of students who go a few more years. Now their parents might not appreciate that, but they go a few more years than the typical 4 years. So we can deal with the undecided major, and we deal with it all the time. It's hard. It's hard to decide what to do with the rest of your life when you first start. So be comfortable. We can make it work.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question. Next one is, can I take minor in psychology or any language? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Dr. Enneking talked about that a little bit. Any of our students can do a minor or a concentration. For dual degree engineering students who have a very sequential set of courses they have to take throughout those 5 years, I would say in that case, you're going to be working really closely with your advisor to make sure you have a good plan, because the more minors and concentrations you add, the more careful you have to be that you're really not going to end up having to stay for 6 years. You really want to finish in 5 years, then you're going to have a more specific plan in place. But it's absolutely possible. And actually, I think it's highly encouraged to follow those interests that you have. Any kind of minor concentration that's an interest that you have is also going to be something that's going to be excellent on your resume, and maybe that leg up that you need when you're going in for an interview in an internship or an employment situation where you have a minor in psychology, but the other people they interviewed just had an engineering degree. You have 2 degrees plus you have a minor in psychology. That's or anything, or in a foreign language. That was, I think, part of the question too. Those are definitely things that we would encourage students to do if they're interested.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, I definitely do agree with you. Are scholarship need-based or just competitive? Do you offer need-based scholarship as well?
We have both. We have academic scholarships and we have some need-based aid as well. So the application and admission process is handled by me in my office, and that's we're the ones who award the academic scholarships. And then if students are applying for the need-based aid, that actually goes to our financial aid office, and they review those and then determine if the students are eligible for additional money from a financial need-based perspective.
Thank you. Next question, if a student has taken SAT subject tests, would those scores help to increase the chances of securing admission to engineering program or help secure more scholarships?
That's a good question. We don't require the SAT exam at all. So SAT subject exams definitely aren't required. If students have them, they can submit them. It definitely could help Dr. Carvel, if he's looking at those scores, to determine that they are at the level that they need to be in terms of math and science for our engineering program. But if you're a student who hasn't taken the SAT, you haven't taken those subject exams, don't feel like that's going to be holding you back either. I think if you have them, you can submit them, but it isn't necessary. It's just going to be one more piece of information that we would look at. In terms of scholarships, our scholarships were primarily looking at your grades. We do consider the general SAT SAT score for scholarship consideration, but again, if you haven't taken it, we can still consider you for all of those scholarships without the SAT exam.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Kelly. I think the next question also is related to that. What is the minimum percentage needed for students who receive full scholarship? What kind of percentage or scores do you look for students who receive full scholarships?
So if we're talking about like CBSE curriculum, we offer scholarships, academic scholarships to students who have a B average or an A average for their overall high school scores. And a CBSE curriculum, that's students who have like a 60% or higher in a lot of those CBSE. ISC, I think, is a little bit different, but we're still looking at if your average marks are 50 or 60% and up, you're not only admissible, but you are also going to be eligible for scholarships from Marian University. Obviously, the higher your marks, the better scholarships we're going to be able to give you. But the good news is that the way the marks translate over to GPA is usually makes Indian students very happy.
I'm sure they do. Okay, the next question. Thanks, Kelly. The next question. Which year internship starts? And would like to know what all documents you require to be considered for talents-based scholarship. The internship opportunity starts from which year? I mean, freshman year or the sophomore year?
We will have internships. Some students will be involved in internships after their first year. It depends on the company. It depends on what they're looking for. Now, certainly as you go through your program of study, your internships are going to vary in what you have to do and what you're able to do and what you're able to apply to the company. Companies look at internships very much as extended interviews. So they're looking at that as an opportunity for them to get an idea about that particular student. Many of our students who have interned 1 or 2 times at a particular company have then gone on to employment at that company. So it can start as early as after your freshman year. Depends a little bit on what you're looking for. And it ties a little bit into one of Kelly's other answers about concentrations and minors in another previous question. You know, as I said earlier, we go to class 2 semesters of the year, 15-week semesters roughly, and the summers are off. So off meaning that that's when you can do your internship generally, that's when you might do study abroad. It also can be an opportunity to pick up other classes. And so if you're interested in completing a minor, or if you're interested in completing a concentration, sometimes you can pick those up in the summer. Some of those courses may be offered online. We do some online courses, I mean, we're not a major university in delivering online courses, but we have about, probably 700 or 800 students that take online courses at any particular point in time. Most of those are in the healthcare field, but we do offer several business degrees in an online format. So in the summer, if you're back home or going someplace else in the summer, it's possible to pick up some of those courses as well. So I guess I would say that the internships can start as early as you can get them. We have an office that we call the Marian Exchange, and that's again something that's present on the website. That is the office that helps all of our students, both in acquiring internships and also in acquiring full-time employment. There's an office just like that. Some places have been called career placement offices. There's one just like that at the branch campus of Purdue at Indianapolis and at West Lafayette. So you have access to all of those resources to help you get internships.
Thank you.
How that works, and Kelly, you may be able to answer this, or maybe Chandra even as well. I don't know about the requirements for internships for the international students. There's probably some other requirement there.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is, and actually it fits really well with what you're saying on the academic side, Dr. Enneking, for international students, they can start doing internships after their first year. So after your first 2 semesters, you'll meet the immigration requirements in order to do an internship. And as long as your internship is directly related to your program of study, then it meets the requirements for international students. And I think there was a question about what to submit for academic scholarships. So just really quickly, again, we're looking mostly at your mark sheets. The SAT exam, if you have that, you can submit that, and that would be considered as well. Although with everything going on in the world, I think we're moving more and more towards not worrying about the SAT exam because people can't take it when everything is closed. So primarily marks. If you're interested in, if you're maybe 11th standard, you're coming to Marian for 2021 and you want to apply and compete for our St. Mary's scholarship, there's a competition for that one as well that includes an interview, and I believe the students also have to submit a resume. So that one has the most requirements, but for our standard academic scholarships that are offered as a part of admission, we're looking mostly at your mark sheets.
Thank you, Kelly. The next question is, what is the basis on which St. Mary and St. Francis scholarships are awarded?
I think I just answered that. The St. Mary is the one that looks at your, it's going to look at your marks, SAT scores if you have them, but then there's also a competition where students have to interview and then they get scores from our faculty that do the interviews. And they also submit a resume as part of that process. And so that's why there's a deadline, because that competition happens in November. We do the interviews over technology for students who aren't local. But for the St. Clair and St. Francis scholarships, those are the ones where we're looking at your mark sheets. We're looking at your overall average marks and SAT scores if you have them. Sometimes if students have really good grades and they don't have the SAT score, then I also ask them to write an essay to give them the best possible academic scholarship.
Okay, thank you. Well, the next question also, I think Kelly has answered this before. And Dr. Enneking both have answered this. Does the dual degree program can be done, work with computer science major? Of course it does. If you guys want to add something to that, Kelly or Dr. Enneking. Definitely it does. It can be done. A dual degree could be taken with computer science and any other major from Purdue as well. That's what they mentioned during the presentation. Anything you'd like to add to it?
I guess I would say, again, the only thing we have to be careful of is if we're talking about it being a part of the dual degree program, it's probably more of a computer engineering than a computer science major that's coming out of the IUPUI side. There's different ways to think about computer science. I mean, there's software design, there's computer engineering, which is very close to electrical engineering. Then there's a pure computer science, which comes a little bit more out of a mathematics side. So when a person talks about computer science, it really is important to think about where you are in that spectrum of computer science. It's kind of like saying a person says, I want to be an engineer. What does that really mean? I mean, an engineer can be a civil engineer that designs buildings, or a mechanical engineer that designs equipment, or an electrical engineer that works with circuits, or a chemical engineer that's designing water treatment systems. There's a breadth of things when a person says computer science. And so we have to just be a little bit careful about it. I mean, it's not, none of them are right or wrong. It's just, if it's a computer engineering side, it's probably going to be a part of our dual degree program. If it's a computer science side, it might be more coming out of a science area than an engineering area.
Dr. Enneking, couldn't somebody do the computer science as their Marian degree and then computer engineering or mechanical engineering or something as their Purdue degree?
You know, Kelly, that's a very good thought process there. I don't know that we've had any student that has done that, but I think that feels like it would be a very, very good fit, that we could do a computer science, kind of like we do biology with a biomedical, is that we could do our computer science major with computer engineering degree at the Purdue. I think that would be, I think Jeff would get excited about setting that one up.
Great. Thank you. I hope that answers the question. Our next question is, since some of the universities in US requires to give math skill exam, even if not SAT, even the student have not taken SAT, and even though students have studied maths until 12th standard, does it apply with Marian also? I think the student is trying to say that if they have studied maths until grade 12, but they have not taken SAT, do you require them to take some math skill exam?
So we
Depends
do
upon
have a
the
math
grade.
placement. We do have a math placement exam that students do. I believe the math placement exam is online, and students can actually do that after they're admitted, but before they even come to Marian. I think we exempt students from that maybe based on, do we exempt students from that based on SAT scores, Dr. Enneking?
Yes, we do. I mean, the key for us really, is we want to start every student in the place where they can be successful. If a student is ready for Calc 1, we want to put them in Calc 1 because that's important. If a student's ready for Calc 2, we want to put them in Calc 2. So we have to somehow be able to identify where is a student, where is the right place to have a student start. Heck, you know, we would start students, although it's not a good idea in the engineering side, to start below a math level in Calc 1 to start in a college algebra kind of level, because then it's just going to add to your program of study. But we want to put students where they can be successful. So if you've taken the SAT course and you've done above a certain score in the SAT math score, then we automatically place you into the courses. We used to test every student for math and for English competency, and then we went to more standardized testing. So part of it's going to depend on your particular marks in the math courses that you've taken. If there's a feeling that, hey, I've already done all this stuff for Calc 1, if you can bring the documentation and present it to our math faculty and say, hey, look, these are the things I've done. I've done integration. I've done differentiation. I've done all of that. I know everything there is to know in Calc 1, maybe even Calc 2. Maybe you're ready to go to Calc 3. If you can show that to our faculty, our math faculty will look at that and say, hey, great. We want to put you in the course where you can be successful. The worst thing we want to do is put you in a Calc 2 course and it makes it feel like you've accelerated your program, but then you're not successful in it, because then you have to go back and take it over. You got to go back and do something. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be successful in the courses that you take. So if you can bring the documentation, we can certainly review it. The standardized test is probably the best approach.
Thank you. So does that mean that if they have, okay, I think that answers the question for you. The next question, there are a lot of questions coming up. I think we have to take up the questions too. Does Marian University provide the degree for music or performing arts, perhaps as integrated into another course? Yes, it does.
We certainly have music majors. A lot of our music students are not performance majors. They're more of music education majors. We have some students who major in a different area of education and then minor in music. You know, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, music and engineering can sometimes go together because they're both very mathematical in a way. Our brains think the same way. A lot of engineers are also musical, even if it may be a little bit, you know, hidden music talent for engineers. But it sometimes goes both ways. But I think it would be challenging to mix the two degrees in music and engineering in a time window that's acceptable. Music, my daughter's a music major and was a music major, and now she's worked for a number of years in a music field. But they take a very lockstep curriculum as well, and it's a very, very tied in, lots of rehearsal times, lots of special lesson times. It's very challenging to get that as a mixed of a degree. I would encourage every engineer, though, to go ahead and be excited about music, because I think it's great fun.
I think definitely taking music courses as a dual degree engineering student would be possible, and maybe even as a minor. We also have theater in terms of performing arts as a minor, or just as elective courses if students are interested in that.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly the students can be involved in any of those. A lot of our theater students are you know, we have choir groups. We have a sacred choir group. We have other choir groups like show choir groups. And our engineering students are more than invited to be involved in those co-curricular activities in some ways. As you're a full-time student here, there are so many co-curricular activities you can get involved in, from music and theater and art. In the humanities side, there's just again a wealth of opportunities where students can use all of their talents besides their technical talents. And our theater people are always looking for people that are good actors on the stage, or our music people are always looking for another good singer that can be in a choir or as a soloist. So yeah, all those things are possible in a co-curricular sense. I guess I was thinking more from a academic side, but from a co-curricular side, yeah, great opportunities.
Okay, thank you. A little more info on accommodations, hostel, dorms, food, etc. would be helpful. We need some information on the hostel, dorms. Kelly, can you,
You were talking residence halls, right? Where students are going to live? Was that the question?
yes.
Yes. Okay. I'll add a little bit. Kelly can chime in even more. We have a number of different residence hall options. For freshmen, will live in a traditional freshman residence hall. Those will be more of the standard, which you expect in a U.S. residence hall. Lots of students in a dormitory kind of setting. Although we do have some of our freshmen now, because of our numbers, that are in suite style settings where you might be in 2 rooms together with a shared bath, maybe a shared living space. But we have all of those kinds of residence areas for our freshmen. As you move into the second year, sophomore, junior year, almost all of your options there are suite style options, where you may have a living room, shared living space. You may just have two bedrooms and a shared bath. So you might have 4 people sharing that particular bath. As you get into your junior year, we have a certain housing requirements, and Kelly probably knows these better than I do, but there's a certain requirements that you have to live on campus a certain number of years or live with relatives. And so I think it's by the time you're 21, I believe, is what the answer, what the cutoff is. And then you can move to an apartment setting. We have juniors and seniors that are in in our apartments, ones that we own. We have an apartment complex on campus, a small one, 2 small ones actually. One's almost exclusively for graduate students. Some of our students, as Kelly mentioned, about 900 of our students of our traditional undergrads live on campus in our residence halls, but we have houses that we own as well. And so sometimes there's 3 or 4 students get together and live in a house. And then some students go off campus on their own. So it's kind of a progressive way of additional independence for each student as they move on a little bit through their program of study. Kelly, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Nope, I think you pretty much covered it. I think we are building a new residence hall on campus. It's under construction now, and it'll be opening in August 2021 because we do have increased enrollment and students who want to be able to live on campus. So that's kind of exciting coming up here in the next year.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dr. Enneking. We have crossed our 1-hour limit, so I would like to ask you both, are you okay to take in more questions? Because we have a lot of questions coming up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine to stay if we want to answer some more questions, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So next question is, could you give me an input on the honors program at Marian?
Our honors program has changed a little bit. I don't know where it is right now, to tell you the honest truth. The honors program involves taking some specific set of courses. It involves doing some other activities. It involves some study abroad, actually. Kelly, again, may have a little bit more specifics on the honors program than I do, the current honors program. You know, many of our students, some of our students will start in the honors program and then choose not to complete it. The honors program is another mark. It's another piece on your resume that might help you move forward. But I'll let Kelly add more to that.
I would have to maybe do a little bit more digging if somebody was really interested in that. The last thing I heard was that our honors program was in kind of a hiatus, and they were going to think about kind of changing the way it works and then reintroducing it at some point. But I haven't really gotten any updates recently. So I don't know if that's because maybe the students weren't really getting at what they wanted out of the program, or maybe they wanted to improve it. I'm not entirely sure why they were revamping it, but I would have to do some more asking around to get specifics about that.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, do the need-based scholarship goes up to meeting the 100% needs?
Was the question, do our need-based awards go up to 100%?
Yes.
No. Unfortunately, if they put me in charge of handing out money, then Marian wouldn't have very much money because I would want to give it to everyone. But no, we don't offer any full ride scholarships. So even with an excellent academic scholarship, even with some financial need-based aid, students and families are still going to have to pay for a portion of the education on their own. We don't have opportunities for international students, and really, I don't think we really have opportunities for domestic students either for full ride scholarships. With the St. Mary's scholarship, the best possible academic scholarship you can get is a full tuition scholarship, which is $36,000, and that's the competitive one. And if you get that scholarship, the chances are pretty good that you're not going to be able to stack anything else on top of it. That's probably about the max that students would look at. I would say many of the international students, I admit, get anywhere between $7,000 to $20,000 in scholarships from a variety of places. Athletic scholarships tends to go a little bit on the higher side, but with academic and financial need-based aid, I would say that's kind of an average that I've seen. But unfortunately, no, not 100%.
When we think about institutional aid, we think about it really more for tuition. So does it cover full tuition? So sometimes when you think about full scholarships, different people will talk about them differently. You know, when you look at the total that Kelly had on an earlier slide, the $51,000 total, that includes a lot of other expenses, things like, you know, your own personal travel expenses, your own books, some other miscellaneous expenses. So if you just look at tuition, we have some students that get full tuition scholarships, but we generally do not for any of our students above full tuition, and not even there's not all that many students that get full tuition, whether they're athletes or not. So I think when you think about it, you know, there's going to be living expenses regardless of where you are. So what we're trying to say is that we want to help cover the cost of education. But every student, every person is going to have a little bit of action in the game. You're all going to have pay something to get something, and so we think it's worth it. We think that from the experience of being here, that everybody should have something to pay. On the other hand, almost 100% of our students get some kind of aid, get some kind of institutional aid, and so we want students to be successful. As Kelly said, sometimes our president's the same way. Even though he likes to think he's controlling the money sometimes too. He would love to pay for every student to come, especially a needy student. He wants to help students be successful. But as with any business, in order to stay in business, we have to be able to do that. So we want everybody to participate, everybody to pay.
I think maybe it's a good time to just point out also that if you're doing the dual degree engineering program, it's a 5-year program, so it's one additional year, so there is an additional cost for that, but you're getting 2 degrees for the same cost. It's still only costing $51,000 a year. You're still only paying the same cost for tuition and room and board that any other student that's just getting 1 degree is. So in terms of overall value for what you're paying for, I think it's a really good value. The other thing that I think is good to note is that the scholarships students get will also go for all 5 years, because as long as you meet academic progress, you keep your grades up, your academic scholarships will continue to renew across those 5 years.
Great, thank you. I think we'll just take the last 2 questions. What if my marks are low in 9th grade and have increased in the 12th? Would it affect the admission or the scholarship?
That's a good question. So we're looking at an average of your marks across high school. So if your marks in 9th grade were a little bit lower, but they've increased, probably your average is still going to be plenty high enough for admission and for scholarships. That would just be my guess without looking at your actual marks. I think that, there's a little bit of a mathematical formula to take the marks and the grading system from India and calculate an average and translate it over to the US. But we're also very cognizant about the fact that in India, 9th grade isn't as important as 10th grade, because 10th grade standard exams, that's where you get determined, your stream is determined, right? So students tend to put forth extra effort in 10th grade. And then the same thing kind of happens in 11th grade. Maybe they're not as focused on their studies in 11th grade because they know 12th standard, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to spend the entire year studying because that 12th standard exam is really important. And so I do take that into consideration when I'm looking at mark sheets from applicants in India. So I wouldn't let that worry you too much.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. The last question, do we have to submit essays? Is there any mandatory essays to be submitted, additional essays?
There aren't any mandatory essays just for admission. Right now, so for students applying for fall 2020, if your marks are high enough for academic scholarships and you don't have an SAT SAT score, then I do ask those students to write an essay as part of the scholarship process. But I am 99% sure that that's going to change for the incoming classes in 2021. We're going to change the way we do scholarships for everyone a little bit. And so that essay piece might not be there. It might just be marks only for students who are applying for fall 2021 and beyond. The only other time we have students write an essay is possibly for some of the talent-based scholarships. There might be an essay component if you're interested in getting a global studies scholarship for a global studies minor. I don't know, that one might have an essay requirement with it. But as far as the general admission process, no, we don't require an essay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly, once again, and thank you, Dr. Enneking. I think that was the last question for the day. And well, it was very, very insightful, and that's what I must say. So it was, so indeed, studying abroad is a realizable dream, and you all can make it. You all can live it. So I hope most of your questions were answered today. And if they were not, if you still have any further questions, please feel free to email them to Kelly or Dr. Enneking. You can also email us at future@genxeducation.com. And well, as I mentioned, you please register with us also for free advising at IamFutureReady.com. And if you would like to receive updates and resources, please mark us, Future@GenX Education, as a safe sender as well. And you can save our WhatsApp number on your phone. Please follow us, as Kelly mentioned earlier. We all are at home and online most of the time. So please make the best of it and follow us on the social media as well. And thank you once again for staying back this long and answering all the questions. I'm sure it was very, very useful for the student. So finally, to all of you, please feel free to join in for our upcoming webinars on April 30th, which is for business management, and also for May 9th, which is for biological science. Thank you once again for your participation. Please stay safe, stay positive, and have a great evening. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dr. Enneking.